See you in Japan!
7 days till Japan!
So I'm going to be doing a voiceover for this video because I'm not vloggery enough to talk in public. This was me on the way to the airport from UCLA, and then our flight was delayed, so this. Eventually we got on our 15-hour flight, and oh my gosh, I had a stuffy nose, so the pressure changes made me feel like my head was exploding. I ate dinner, but I don't even have a recording of the breakfast they served because I felt so sick. I was just trying not to vomit or pass out during the breakfast service. And here is my first glimpse of Japan. We took public transport for everything on our trip, and it was surprisingly easy to navigate, even though we didn't have the tourist marketed Pasmo or Suica cards. The trains were very quiet, clean, crowded, but safe, especially compared to American public transport. In the morning, we originally had plans to visit Meiji Shrine, but because of our flight delay, we decided to skip that. We went straight to Shibuya to drop off our luggage at our hotel. At first, Google Maps led us to this sketchy stairway as our hotel, and we started freaking out because we thought we might have been scammed, but actually our hotel was right around the corner. And then we dropped off our luggage and headed off to the trains again to get to Mitaka to go to the Ghibli Museum. For the most part, Japan was honestly not as different from the US as I was expecting. It felt like a slightly upgraded, more disciplined version of the US, but that's just my opinion based on only 24 hours, so it's not necessarily very accurate. Some things I noticed about Japan that were different from the US was first, there's a lot more walking and public transport, which means less cars. And because of that, it was much quieter. I think partially because of the lack of cars, but also because I think it's just Japanese manners to be relatively quiet in public, at least compared to the US. Another thing I noticed was a lot of politeness, just in saying thank you for everything, moving to the side when walking on the street, and even the escalators had like a standing side and a walking side for people who are in a rush. And everyone very strictly followed those like social rules. And even though me and my family were very obviously tourists, everyone was still really polite and also really kind and patient with us. And also, everyone was really well dressed in a lot of name brand clothing, which I think Western name brand clothing is kind of a thing in Asia. I've honestly found it quite ironic that so many Japanese people were wearing branded clothes like Gucci and Supreme and all, while like me and my family are coming from Los Angeles, literally like an iconic Western city, and what were we wearing? Costco. Anyways, we walked through this beautiful park on the way to the museum, and this is the outside of the museum, but you aren't allowed to take pictures or videos inside. It was quite pretty inside, but I will say, even as a big Studio Ghibli fan, I felt like it wasn't that great. The museum is a good choice if you have plenty of time, but if I could go back, I'd go visit something else instead. Anyways, after the museum, we did go to a mall, but we were so jet lagged we left without doing anything and checked into our hotel. We stayed at a place called Book Tea Bed in Shibuya, which is quite literally a capsule hotel with books, tea, and beds. The hotel was really nice. We had a women's only floor, and it was clean and quiet and spacious but cozy and comfortable. I think the futon was a little hard by American standards, but honestly, I slept on my rock of a dorm mattress for months before I got a softer mattress, so the futon wasn't that bad to me. Also, the comforter was really, really fluffy and warm. I really liked it. I fell asleep almost immediately, but in the evening, we all went out for dinner and we went to this vegan restaurant and had tempura, gyoza, and grilled onigiri, all of which was really delicious. And then we walked to a daiso, which is a 100 yen store, meaning everything there, almost everything there, is 100 yen. And we got some souvenirs and gifts. Not as many as I wish we could have, but we don't have that much space in our suitcases, so we had to limit ourselves. And then we got snacks at a family mart, which is like a 7-Eleven. And then we went back to our hotel, and this is the view from the roof. I got this thing which I thought was dango, and I think maybe it actually was, but like a savory version. Whatever it was, I expected it to be sweet like caramel, and instead it tasted like soy sauce that had gone bad, so I was really disappointed by that. And then the other thing I got were these banana milk buns, and those were better, and they did taste like bananas, but they had a weird aftertaste. So honestly, I didn't like that either. And then the next morning, I took a shower, and the bathrooms here were communal, but I'm used to that because of college, and they were very clean, so I didn't mind. Another thing Japan does well is making the most of tiny spaces. And then I ate this melon pan thing as we were heading out to do a little bit more shopping, and it was actually really good. We went to Don Quixote, which is a huge 7 floor mall, I guess, or like one store that's 7 floors, and it's tourist oriented. And we didn't have as much time here as we'd like, so we didn't get to explore everything. But also, everything was priced a little higher than the local stores here, so it's probably good we didn't shop too much. And then once we got to the airport, we actually had some yen left over to spend, so of course we had to try a vending machine. We got a peach drink and onigiri, both of which were yummy, but hard to open, which I honestly think is just a me problem. All in all, Japan was very fun, but quite westernized. I've been to Europe before, and of course that also feels American, but this was my first time going to an Asian country other than India, and India does not feel anything like the US, so I guess I thought Japan would also be really different. But I think since Japan is a really developed country, it's quite like the US. While I would like to come again since I only had a day in Japan and want to visit a smaller city or even like the very rural countryside so I could experience like a more traditional, cultural, and less Western version of Japan. Anyway, that was the end of my 24 hours in Tokyo, and here was my last glimpse of Tokyo before our flight headed out.